we're back at the Capitol Center as we'll see the penalty. Rennie Robert sees a little daylight, tries to get through the two Washington Capitol defenders. Greg DeBerge pulls him down and takes the penalty at 7:54 of this second period. The Maple Leafs need a lot of help here tonight.
Like goal scoring, we've got it for you. Washington 9, Toronto 1. Mano feeds Sittler for the shot, saved by Al Jensen, and he covers up. Al Jensen, who's been in goal, replacing the injured Dave Parrow and Mike Palmateer, and he's come up with some good saves when he's had to.
Darryl Sittler gets the puck just at the top of the face-off circle, lets the shot go. Jensen, who hasn't had much work, particularly in this second period, makes the save and covers up on the rebound. 1:45 to go in the penalty to Greg DeBerge of the Washington Capitals.
Robert fires, deflection, knocked aside by Jensen. Gartner pokes it into the corner, bangs it out of the zone all the way down. Shots on goal in the second period. Washington 13, Toronto 6. The total for the game thus far, Washington 35 and Toronto 12. Mano almost left the puck in the crease. Almost looking for Larocque to bat it away. Here's Robert coming across, drops it off for Wilf Paiement. Paiement has trouble. Paiement still in control of the puck, sends it back to Mano. He lost it. Gartner takes it away and breaks out with Carpenter on the right. Gartner goes in. Gartner across for Carpenter, couldn't get a shot off. And Mano has the puck. Mano to center to Sittler. Sittler with Paiement on the right. Tries to get it to him. It's cleared by Green to center. 11 minutes to go in the second period. Washington 9, Toronto 1. Puck at the line is sent in.
45.
Paiement goes behind the goal. 45 seconds to go. Toronto power play. Paiement fires across. Sittler has the puck. Winds and fires. Knocked down by Terry Murray. Whistle stops play as Terry Martin, Toronto forward, was hit at the side of the net and knocked down. Might have been hit into the post, but he seems to be hurt.
Taken out by Rick Green of the Capitals. We'll look at it right here. Here's Martin being shoved into the net. You'll see his right foot getting locked in against the goal post, but he's all right. He skates under, just skating it off right there. He'll be all right and ready to go. A reminder for all the hockey fans, every Thursday on ESPN, Tom Meese. And this week in the NHL, interesting features, interviews, highlights of NHL games played during the week. A very interesting feature on ESPN this week in the NHL, every Thursday on ESPN, your total sports network.
Really a good show. Tom does a real good job. Gets some great interviews, some great highlights for you, puts it all together in a nice, neat half-hour package every week. This week in the NHL, there is Al Jensen stopping the puck. Caps down a man for another 17 seconds. And Gustafson feeding Jarvis. Almost had a breakaway. Larocque tries to clear. Jarvis knocked it down. Jarvis tied up by Hotham in the corner. They battle there. And the whistle stops play. This is a tough game. I want to tell you who's probably having the toughest time of all. It's the officials. This is a tough one to keep under control.
Well, I think it's been relatively quiet. I think what Wicks did, which I thought was very good, he's an experienced referee in the National Hockey League. He called the penalties early in that first period. You let a lot of stuff go. The players find that they can get away with a lot of stuff. This is what causes the high sticks, the elbows, and leads to brawls. He got the game in control early, and this has resulted so far in no big violence breaking out in this hockey game.
Benning trying to break through. Backhander by Martin, rather. Rebound by Boschman is over the goal and picked up by Theberge. Theberge in the corner. It's McKinnon. Saginaw pokes it free. Gustafson has it and clears. The teams are back at full strength. We have 9:45 to go in the second period. Washington leading Toronto 9-1. 5 goals in the first period, 4 here in the second. The puck coming all the way down. Touch for icing is made with 9:34 to go. I want to remind you about a very exciting hockey special we have for you on Christmas night. After you've opened the presents and after you've had the great Christmas dinner, sit down and watch some hockey because we've got the United States against the Soviet Union, the 1980 Olympic game, 8 o'clock Eastern and 5 Pacific.
Is that all you're ever thinking about is food, food, food?
And hockey, hockey, hockey.
Hey, listen, that brought quite a thrill to all, Americans in particular. The Olympic team a couple of years ago with Herb Brooks and so many of them. We see that save that Al Jensen did make. So many of the players that were on that team playing today in the National Hockey League. Look for it on ESPN on Christmas Day.
Derlego sends it in. Five, the shot hit the post. He had Jensen beaten. It hit the post. Shot by Gibson, saved by Jensen, and he holds.
Close call for the Washington Capitals as they hit the goalpost. The puck coming directly out to Bob Mano of the Toronto Maple Leafs as he lets the shot go. Jensen able to get on his feet and make the save as we look at Jensen. Al Jensen, who hasn't really had that much work in the goal for the Washington Capitals. One thing I have noticed, every time he's played goal, Jensen has, the Washington Capitals have scored a lot of goals for him. Here's another save from the point. The Capitals starting to play a little bit careless, and, well, I guess they can afford to as we look at the young coach, just what, up a month for Brian Murray, and certainly done a remarkable job, a turnaround for these Washington Capitals. There we'll see the shot from the point from Mano, and Jensen coming out to the top of the crease to make the save.
Caps are 7-4-2 since Brian Murray took over.
Sam, they are going exclusively with the youngsters. We talked to Roger Crozier, the acting general manager of the Capitals, and Brian Murray. They don't want anybody who's been around here in the seasons that they have lost, and the Capitals have had a lot of them. They came into the National Hockey League in 1974. They have never made the NHL players. They want youngsters that they can blend and turn into their own particular system. They want enthusiasm. They have gotten rid of Bob Kelly. They've gotten rid of Alan Hankslavin. They've gotten rid of Jean Pronovo. They've gotten rid of Pierre Bouchard. So they've gotten rid of the old and bring the new, and at 30 years old, you're certainly not old, but that's the way this game is going with the 18-year-olds and 19-year-old juniors that are coming in and winning spots in the National Hockey League.
Into the corner goes Gould trying to feed Duchesne. Duchesne pulled down. Gibson goes into the corner. Tukey is there to try and work it free, and he does. Tukey comes out of the corner with a backhander, and it's blocked in front. Picked up by Ron Zanussi, number 39. Headman's to Derlego, taken away from him by Terry Murray. Murray is the oldest player on the team at 31. Duchesne going in, feeds Tukey, and he just rolled it on goal, stopped by Larocque. And now we've got something going. Melrose and Tukey. Big Barry Melrose is going after Tukey. Melrose has been hitting people high all evening long, and now he is on top of Tim Tukey, the linesman going in, trying to separate him.
Melrose, the only one who's actually angry or seems angry out there with the Toronto Maple Leafs being down by a score of 9-1. He took Tukey in pretty good into the boards. No penalty call on the play, so as far as Ron Wicks was concerned, there was no fault at the check. Tukey come off high and started throwing him, but Melrose much too big and much too aggressive for the Washington Capital player. 8:14 to go in this second period. The Capitals running away with it 9-1. We'll be back right after this.
Some people never realize that cigarette smoking has a certain air about it, even after you put one out. Because smoking often makes you smell less than perfect. And like any body odor, no one would ever dream of telling you. To a non-smoker, it's especially offensive, which is a shame. So give it up. Quit smoking today, because your smoking stinks.
Sam Rosen and Pete Stemkowski at the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland, as you watch National Hockey League action live on ESPN. Barry Melrose gets 4 minutes. Tim Tukey gets 2.
Well, here we'll see what the initial infraction. I said that Wicks didn't see it. I guess he did. Here he comes in high on Tukey, takes him out. Now we'll see what Tukey does. Now there's Melrose. Now Tukey's fighting him. Melrose stays right with him, trying to get something going with his team. A little wrestling match on the ground. Melrose 4 minutes. Tukey gets 2. 9-1 for the Capitals. And, of course, we'll get you everything at the end of the second period if you're keeping score at home. Baruch's got a handful. Who else? Valentine's got a handful. Carpenter's got a goal. Tukey's got a goal. Duchesne, Gustafson, Walter, Veach, Green. Wow. Who doesn't have one? This is the kind of game, if you're sitting on the bench and it's 9-1, you hope you at least get in the fifth. Anything. I want at least a point.
Don't leave me off the score sheet.
No, I want to be a part of that.
Teams are skating 4 aside for 2 minutes. When Tukey returns, Caps will have another man advantage. Boimstruck, number 11, fires, deflection on goal, and it's stopped by Jensen, and he dives on top. Good.
You know, the
play
thing
by
is, in a
Al
game like this, the folks back home who sometimes, don't get it on radio or television, they look at the submarine, they see, you're not in there. So you call them up and they say, aren't you playing anymore? They got 10 goals. And, you got to explain, well, listen, I was playing a good defensive game that night, so I didn't really figure in the scoring.
We held them to 1 goal,
I had my man all night.
7:29 to go, second period. Washington 9, Toronto 1. A minute 15 remaining in Tim Tookey's penalty. 3:15 left in the penalty to Melrose, who got 4 minutes for roughing. And Washington will eventually have the power play. Boimstruck at the right point. Sends one in. Glove by Al Jensen. Drops it off for Greg Thaberge, number 20. Another one of the youngsters fires out off the stick of Valentine. Gartner racing down against Mano. Loose puck picked up by Boimstruck. Terry Martin, number 25, comes up ice. Has DeLego on the left wing. Pass behind him. Taken away by McKinnon. Gartner lost it. McKinnon sends it back. Across the line is Valentine throwing it across for Gartner. Gartner going in is tied up by Maloney. Thaberge sending it in deep. And taken away by Boimstruck. Boimstruck, left wing feed at Terry Martin, breaks wide across the line with a shot. Stick save made by Jensen. McKinnon plays the rebound into the corner. Thaberge is there.
30 seconds.
6:40 to go in the second period. 9-1 Washington leading it. Chris Valentine, boy, does he see a lot of ice time. Plays a regular shift, plays power play, penalty killing. Plays it all.
Drives the Zamboni.
He'll do anything to stay up here. Gustafson with the puck. In 9 seconds, Caps will have a man advantage. Loose puck picked up by Terry Martin. Gustafson went down along with Benning. Leafs send it ahead. Zanussi going in against Green. Green leaves it on the boards. Bobby Carpenter picks it up. Man advantage for the Caps. Power play chance for the Washington Capitals. Carpenter across the line. Carpenter drops it off for Gustafson, cleared by Zanussi. Back comes Darren Veach. He's had a fine game with 4 assists. Feeds Green. Left side of Gustafson. Gets control, comes in, but Carpenter a stride ahead of the play offside. 1:37 to go. And the penalty to Barry Melrose. 5:51 to go in the second period. Washington 9, Toronto 1.
Well, with the injuries back on the Toronto Maple Leaf defense to Salming and Bob McGill sitting out a suspension, Greg Hotham has been called up from Cincinnati of the Central Hockey League. He was a draft pick a couple of years back for the Maple Leafs. Never has played much for the Leafs, being shuttled back and forth. Has played most of his career in the American Hockey League with New Brunswick.
Off the face-off, Caps control as they look for more. Beach sending it in. Ryan Walter goes after it. Feeds Marouk for the shot save made by Larocque off the blocker. Loose puck behind the goal. Walter digging with Valentine. Walter for Marouk. It's blocked by Mano. Out to the blue line. Stopped by Beach. He feeds Marouk. Marouk goes in. Feeds Valentine. Back to Marouk. And it's blocked by Mano. Out to the point to Gartner. Nice passing between Marouk and Valentine. Valentine shot off the stick in 15 rows. Into the crowd it goes. 106 to go. And the penalty to Barry Melrose and 5:20 left. In the second period, Washington a 9-1 lead.
Here we'll see a give and go, a 3-on-2 situation. Here's Marouk, gives to Valentine. Valentine goes back to Marouk, but an excellent save by Mano, the defenseman for the Toronto Maple Leafs. As we see, so here's Valentine looking around, lets the shot go a little bit too long with that slapper. The Maple Leaf player able to get his stick out and deflect it over the glass. 1:06 to go. And the Toronto penalty to Barry Melrose. We are 5:20 to go in the second period from the Capitol Center. It's all Washington tonight. They took it on the chin last Saturday, 9-4 in Toronto. They're giving it back to the Maple Leafs tonight.
Marouk trying to feed in front, hit the back of the net, and it's on the net. Frozen for a face-off. 5:14 to go in the second period. Don't forget, next week we'll be coming to you on Saturday night from the Capitol Center, where we see the Washington Capitals, who play very well at home, and they'll be taking on the tough Chicago Blackhawks. The Blackhawks are moving in the Norris Division on first place Minnesota. They have a game in hand on Minnesota and trail by just 3 points. So the Blackhawks, led by Tony Esposito, Al Secord, Savard, they've got a good-looking team, and they've been playing very well. Marouk behind the net. Centers in front. Walter scores! Ryan Walter putting it in. His second power play goal of the game. It is 10-1 Washington. Put up another assist for Pee Wee Marouk.
There Marouk. Behind the net, nobody taking him. Walter wide open. You see both Toronto defensemen out of position. That second defenseman should not have gone behind the net after Denis Marouk here. Stay in your position. And this is what happens when you get beat one-on-one on your own zone. You get beat, somebody else has to go and take your position and leave his open. Ryan Walter wide open in front of the net. Beats Bunny Larocque. A power play goal. The Capitals are in double figures. And we still got 24 minutes to go. 10-1 Capitals.
Sent in by Hoffman, stopped by Randy Holt. Holt carries and sends it in. Ryan Walter just playing an outstanding season for him, off to his best start ever, has 16 goals on the season. Dan Maloney, number 9, comes up. Robert on his right. Maloney drives one, and it's gloved by Jensen. Leaves it for Holt. Up the boards, give away to Hotham in front for Maloney. Lost control, hit by McKinnon. Centering pass, taken by Robert, saved by Jensen. Al Jensen is still in this game. Comes on goal. Jensen covers up with 4:12 to go in the second period. Washington, 5 goals in the first period. 5 goals in the second period at 10-1. Al Jensen loves those numbers.
Look at Robert, one of the better shooters in the National Hockey League, right in that critical area. Lets the shot go, and Jensen, a lot of poise for a youngster, makes the save on the play.
Goal by Ryan Walter at 15 minutes. A power play goal. Second goal of the game for Walter, both on power plays. Marouk and Valentine, the assist. Valentine has a goal and 3 assists. Marouk has 2 goals and 3 assists, and Walter has 2 goals. Darren Beach has 4 assists. The Caps just adding up the points. Holt winds it around the boards. And Gaetan Duchesne sends out Tim Cookie. Cookie, number 8, across the line. It's Hoffman. Pulls him down. Play in the corner. Sittler is there for Toronto. Cookie is digging, trying to work it free. Leafs get it. Dan Maloney, number 9, the veteran, 11 seasons in the NHL. Poked away from him. Offside the call, 3:34 to go in the period. Washington 10, Toronto 1. Right back right after this message.
This Bud's for the people who make the tough jobs all part of a day's work.
This Bud's for you. For all you do, the king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do.
This Bud's for you.
It has been a tough night for the goaltenders.
These people are happy. Plenty to cheer about tonight.
Bunny Larocque is in goal, having relieved Vincent Tremblay, who left 3 minutes and 50 seconds into this period. And for Larocque, he's taken 12 shots and been scored upon 3 times. Carpenter shoots, save made, rebound picked up by Melrose. Now Rocky Saginaw comes down the left wing and knocked away from him by Wes Jarvis. Melrose sends it in. Jensen stops the puck. No, leaves it for Murray. Torrey Robertson clears it out to center. Taken by Bobby Carpenter. Carpenter fires it across for Jarvis. Going in against Gibson. Puts it behind the net for Carpenter. Scores! Bobby Carpenter! He gets on the board. It's 11-1 Washington.
It's getting too easy for the Washington Capitals as the Toronto Maple Leafs completely falling apart as this young 18-year-old first-round draft pick of the Washington Capitals, Bobby Carpenter, gets their 11th goal. Here you see Carpenter right behind that. He fights off 2 men, 2 Toronto Maple Leafs taking 1. Carpenter comes in around the net unmolested and tucks it in on the short side behind Bunny Larocque. 2:52 to go in period 2. Carpenter scores for the Capitals. They lead the Maple Leafs by a score of 11-1. That's Carpenter's 9th goal of the season.
Second of the game for the youngster. Actually his 10th. Two goals in this game. Now has 10 on the season. Bobby Carpenter's 2nd goal of the game. And it is 11-1 Washington. Puck sent in. Thaberge plays it. We have an offside. The new team record for the Washington Capitals. 11 goals in 1 game. There's Bobby Carpenter, the 18-year-old, the 3rd player picked in the 1981 draft.
Standing ovation here for the Washington Capitals. Carpenter getting better each game in out. I question the move by the Capitals, moving him over to the left wing. He played center all his life, but he looks very much at home. He's getting himself more into the game, playing on the left wing. 2 goals tonight for the youngster. 10 goals on the season for Carpenter. If anybody would have told him just before Christmas he'd have 10 goals in the National Hockey League, he would have been very surprised. The Leafs score as Don Luce is left unmolested just to the right of Al Jensen, and the Leafs, who have not been inside the Washington Capitals zone much tonight, as we'll look at it again. Here you'll see the shot. Don Luce is right there. He stops the puck. The puck was deflected by the Capital player. Here Luce gets the puck down and on the ice, and Don Luce scores for the Toronto Maple Leafs his 2nd goal of the season, but it isn't going to mean much in the end result. 2:11 to go in this 2nd period. Plenty to cheer about if you're one of these youngsters at the Capitol Center tonight. 11 goals, a new team record for the Washington Capitals, and we've still got over 20 minutes to play.
Dennis Baruch for Washington. Don Luce gets the goal for the Toronto Maple Leafs, his 2nd goal of the season. Terry Martin gets the assist. Bob Mano gets an assist. Mano has the puck now. Leafs come up. Terry Martin across the line, drops it off for Luce for the drive that's wide. Near side, Wolf Paymont is there. Paymont comes off the boards with the puck. Throws it across for Luce, and he shoots wide. Up the near side of Randy Holt, and he just clears it out. Boimstruck is there. Across to Mano. 1:30 to go in the 2nd period. Washington 11, Toronto 2. Bob Mano carries it. He fires, saved by Jensen. Rebound, Luce shoots high and around the glass it comes. It's a shooting gallery out there. Paymont takes a check from Walter. Puck is knocked out to center. Sent back in the Washington end. Paymont going at it. He's a tough guy. Puck poked away, comes to Laurie Boschman, goes in, 3-on-1, across for Boschman, broken up in front by McKinnon. And picked up by Marook. He comes up with Valentine, they cross. Marook carries, less than a minute to go. Marook going in, backhander off the stick of Benning into the crowd. Stopping play with 56 seconds. Bobby Carpenter scoring for Washington at 17:08, his 10th of the season from Jarvis and Robertson. And then at 17:49, Don Luce, his 2nd of the season from Martin and Mano to make it 11-2. And I tell you, I don't know how Mike Nicola can stand it behind the Toronto bench.
Well, there you see Dennis Marook. So much has been said about him. A quiet night for Dennis. 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points.
Quiet, huh? Here come the Leafs. 5, pass, broken up by Duchesne. Leaves it on the left side for Tukey. Tukey off the boards, broken up. Green trying to get it ahead. He's tied up on the boards by Derlego. 5 comes in. Duchesne is there. They freeze it. 38 seconds to go in the 2nd period. Washington 11. Toronto 2. Coming into this game, in the last 6 games, Washington had outscored its opponents 41-16. There you see the shot. Washington 41 and Toronto 25. We're still in the 2nd period. So Washington on home ice has been scoring a lot of goals, 52 in the last 7 games, averaging better than 7 goals a game in their last 7 on home ice. Boschman battling for Toronto, Gould for Washington. They freeze it. 18 seconds to go in the 2nd period. 11-2, Washington leading it. They led 5-1 into the 1st, and it's been 6-1 in the 2nd as you look at Bobby Gould, who came over from Calgary.
Has played well, has got a chance here, and that's the big thing. You give the youngsters, they get down in the minor leagues sometimes, they do well, but they're never called up, and you lose. Well, you lose a little bit of your enthusiasm. You figure you're playing well, and I'm not getting a shot. Gould is getting a chance with these Capitals, and so far in 7 games for the Caps, 2 goals, 1 assist. What's he got here? Anything tonight?
Gould has 1 assist.
1 assist, so he's 2-2 for the season since joining the Capitals.
And that is it. The horn sounds. It is a standing ovation from a pretty good crowd here at the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. And Mike Nicola scratching his head. It's his 47th birthday today. It's not going to be one he'll remember. Or maybe he won't forget it all.
This one for a long time.
Maybe not.
See, well, it's pretty hard when you look at the pictures to tell from each coach's dispositions who is winning and who is losing. Brian Murray, a very low-key type of guy. And Mike Knuckluck, well, what do you say? What do you say? You go in the room, your guys are down by a score of 11 to 2. What do you say?
Well, you got to
We
hope
are
that
basically about 30 games into the season, so one game at this point is not going to mean that much, but you certainly don't want your team to get into some decisive bad habits here that'll carry on for games to come.
you got to hope that they have a little pride and go out and skate hard in the third period. We're at the end of the second here at the Capitol Center. Washington 11, Toronto 2. We'll be back right after this message.
Saturday, ESPN's live coverage of the Davis Cup final between the United States and Argentina continues with a pivotal doubles match. Later, Eric Sandifer and last year's Big East tournament champion and NIT finalist Syracuse take on Fordham live. Then Nevada, Las Vegas tries to steal a victory from a California Irvine team that's led by All-American Kevin McGee. It's a lively Saturday of sports on ESPN.
If you're watching NHL action,